We have said these things in few words because we wish to indicate how great the burden is of teaching, so that someone who is unworthy of it will not dare to undertake it, least through desire or renown in this world. You take on the leadership of the damned. St. James the Apostle reproved this when he said, very appropriately, "Brothers, let there not be too many masters among you." James 3:1. For this very reason, the mediator himself of God and men, that is, Christ, avoided undertaking earthly rule. He himself, who surpassed all wisdom of the higher spirits and ruled heaven before the world was created. It is written in the Gospel that the Jews came to wish to make him king by force. When the Savior realized that, he avoided them and hid himself. Who could more easily rule men without fault than he who created them? He did not avoid authority because anyone else was more worthy, but rather, he wished to set us an example so that we are not too greedy for it, and also he wished to suffer for us. He did not wish to be king, and he came of his own will to the cross. He shunned the glory of royal authority and chose the punishment of that most abominable death, so that we who are his limbs would learn from him to shun the allurements of this earth, and also would not fear its horrors and its dangers, and for the sake of truth would love work and fear prosperity and avoid it. For in prosperity, man is often puffed up with pride, whereas tribulations chasten and humble him through suffering and sorrow. In the midst of prosperity, the mind is elated. In the prosperity of a man forgets himself. In hardship, he is forced to reflect on himself, even though he be unwilling. In prosperity, a man often destroys the good he has done. Amidst difficulties, he often repairs what he long since did in the way of wickedness. Very often, a man is responsive to the lessons of adversity, even though he previously refused to respond to his instructor's morals and precepts. But even through afflictions, teach and instruct him. If he acquire the kingdom, he immediately becomes perverted, with pride at the people's reverence for him, and becomes accustomed to flattering praise. Thus, King Saul, at first, he declined the throne, and reckoned himself to be wholly unworthy of it. But as soon as he assumed the power of the kingdom, he swelled up with pride, and became enraged at the same time Samuel, who formerly had brought him to the throne, and consecrated him. Accordingly, Samuel announced Saul's sins before the people, since thanks to them, he had been unable to control him. When Samuel wished to leave, Saul seized him and tore his clothing and dishonored him. So too, David, who was pleasing to God in every respect, as soon as he no longer had the burden of so many afflictions, he suffered the wound of pride and exhibited this very savagely in the murder of Uriah, a member of his own household, because of his disgusting desire for Uriah's wife. The very man who previously had pardoned so many crimes against his person, thus became uncontrollably eager for a good man's death, without there having been any crime or hostility against him. This same David refrained from injuring Saul, who had reduced him to such great misery and drove him from his land. When David had completely in his power in the cave, he had cut a piece from his cloak as a sign that he had power over him, nevertheless let him go because of his former loyalty. This same David exposed his own army to great danger, and sent many a man to his death when he plotted to kill his own faithful and guiltless follower. The crime would have been kept him from the company of all other holy men, if once again his toil and tribulations had not helped him.